Welcome to
Finding Your Place,
the podcast where we help you
make FSU feel like home.
Hey everyone, starting college can feel like a wild adventure, right? New faces, new places, and let's be honest, sometimes a little overwhelming.
We've all been there, and you might feel a bit lost at first, wondering where you fit in. That's why we're here, to share stories about finding community, building friendships, and creating your sense of belonging at FSU.
Today, we'll each share how we found our place at FSU, the challenges we faced, and how connecting with others made all the difference.
And don't worry, we've got tips and resources to help you get started too.
Hi everyone, my name is Tanner, and I'm a junior at Florida State. My experience so far at FSU has been great, and I would love for y'all to listen to my experience and how I managed finding community and belonging since I've gotten here. And there's many ways to find a group and meet new people at Florida State. And going into it, you might not know exactly what to do. And hopefully, you can learn from my story. To start off, coming to FSU had always been a dream of mine. And I grew up in an FSU household, watching the football games, and they always intrigued me and made me want to attend the school when I got older. Throughout my life, I've always had a great sense of belonging and community, whether it was through friends or family. And coming to a new city and school, that gave me a little fresh start on that. I never thought I'd have a problem meeting new people or putting myself out there when coming to Florida State. However, it wasn't as easy as I thought. Entering my freshman year, I roomed with two of my close friends from my hometown, and there was a decent-sized group of kids from my high school that were also attending Florida State. And we'd all hang out and do the same things every day. I found myself not really venturing out and getting pretty comfortable. I really wanted to meet more people and take advantage of what FSU had to offer. I got complacent and didn't try new things. So by the end of freshman year, I wasn't in the best place mentally, and I just knew I had to make a change. Going into sophomore year, one of my friends from Orlando reached out to me to come to one of the rush events for a fraternity. I definitely had been interested in rushing in the past, but just never went and did it. In the past year, and I don't know why. So I ended up going to the event, and I met a bunch of the guys, and really liked how they carried themselves, and I wanted to be around people like them. Then I went to the next rush event, and I ended up getting a bid. I felt like I belonged with this group of guys and saw myself surrounding myself with like-minded people. And then I told myself, I'm going through with it no matter what. I pledged in the fall, had the best time of my life, and realized this is what I've been missing. And I met some of my best friends today and never looked back. My life is very different than it was freshman year. That's because I knew I needed to do something to change up my experience. And it ended up being the best decision I could have made. Meeting and connecting with so many people and having new experiences is what I've always wanted college to be about. Coming to college, making an effort to put yourself out there can go a long way for connections and ideas from people all over the world. There's always a place for you, and you won't find it if you aren't looking for it. Thanks, everyone.
Hi everyone, my name is Tina, and I will share my experience as an international student and how I found my community at FSU. As an international student, I have faced many challenges when adapting to college in the United States. However, I can only speak from my personal experience coming from Latin America, but I assume most of the struggles I will be discussing are shared experiences with the rest of the international students at FSU. When I arrived to the United States for college, everything felt unfamiliar. The language, the culture, even the air, everything was different. Coming from Latin America, I was used to a strong sense of community. At home, neighbors were like extended family and meals were loud, vibrant gatherings. Even my close family as well includes around 20 people. But here, I have found myself doing a ton of things alone and worst of all, feeling lonely, despite being physically surrounded by a lot of people. One of the biggest challenges was the language barrier, definitely. While I had already studied English, I quickly realized that conversational English and academic English are entirely different. Participating in class discussions felt, and even today still feels, scary. I was afraid of saying the wrong thing or misunderstanding a professor's instructions, which indeed has happened multiple times, but it's totally understandable and it's a universal experience that every international student faces. With practice, however, it eventually becomes natural to speak in a language that's not your own. Cultural differences have also added to this challenge. In Latin America, professors are often informal, but here there's a clear line of professionalism. Also, in my home country, Panama, classes are usually of around 20 to 25 people. On my first class here in Tallahassee, however, I remember walking into an auditorium and seeing around 150 people. This was very overstimulating and difficult for me to adapt to. Another huge difference is the teaching style. While I don't believe one is better than the other, in the United States, the teaching is more innovative, practical, and offers a much broader curriculum, which made the coursework extremely overwhelming. Finding a community was another very tough situation. I felt homesick, like most college students do often, but I not only had to adapt to a new environment, but also adapt to a new culture, like all of the international students, which exponentiated the homesickness. But slowly, I started seeking out spaces where I could connect with others that were just like me. One of the things that helped me go through these experiences was joining the Hispanic Latinx Student Union at FSU. There are communities like this for many countries, ethnicities, and even religions. Therefore, one of my biggest recommendations for international students would be to look for these organizations, to either join them or just attend their events. You can look for them in fairs or through social media. This gives us, international students, the opportunity to find people that share our culture and traditions and thus create a family away from home. Give us something that is familiar amongst the uncertainty and difficulties of living abroad. If there are no clubs or organizations for your specific country, my recommendation would be to look for the most similar one. For instance, me being from Panama, I have also attended events from the Brazilian, Colombian, and Puerto Rican student associations, which, despite not being from my home country, Panama, we still share a lot of similarities because we belong to the same region. Therefore, if you are a student from Spain, for example, you could also attend events from the student associations of other European countries, and I think it would still be helpful for feeling more comfortable. Another thing that helped me a lot, especially in the academic aspect, was joining a club called Women in Computer Science, which is my major. As with the groups for each country, there are tons of organizations for every major at FSU. This will make it easier to adapt to America's teaching methods because there will be people who guide you, who can study with you, and who can advise you on how to work on your studying methods and practices. The easiest way to find these communities is by reading FSU's emails, where they announce activities and extracurriculars, and attending fairs. Finding other ways, despite the cultural difference, to connect with people from other countries also helps to make your new environment feel like home. I believe this can be done through hobbies or sports that you can have in common with others, for which there are tons of clubs and activities as well. Through these strategies, I have been able to stay connected to my roots while also learning to thrive in this new environment and country. The journey hasn't been easy, but it has taught me resilience, adaptability, and most importantly, the importance of building bridges between different cultures.
Hello, my name is Casey Dreyer, and my community is FSView. I never understood why communities were so important. I always felt as if I didn't need to attempt to make friends because I had my family. That was until I moved to Tallahassee to start my new life as a Florida State University student. Moving here was the first time where I didn't have my family right beside me, and I was scared. My family knew I was going to struggle, so they encouraged me to branch out and find a club of some kind to help me. Of course, I was skeptical. I never relied on anyone except my family members. I had never joined a club, nor was I ever into sports. I have always loved the art of photography. It is my dream to become a photojournalist and travel around the world. So when I started researching clubs related to this, I stumbled upon FSView. FSView is an independent, student-ran school newspaper for FSU. They cover all on-campus events and news, as well as some off-campus events. I was immediately interested, and I found out they had photography openings. So I quickly put together a portfolio and submitted my application, and a week later, they accepted me. Within a couple weeks, I was talking to writers and managers and coordinating shootings. I got my first job and I was so nervous. This was my first time really showing everybody my skills, and I was determined to do a good job. However, the photos didn't come out nearly as good as I wanted. The lighting was horrible in the building, and there were so many people it was difficult to get a clear shot of the speaker. But even when I thought my photos were terrible, they were still featured in the newspaper and made me feel proud of myself. During these jobs, I have gotten to talk to so many new people, including the President of the United Nations General Assembly. I've learned about others, I've met the actors in plays, I've talked to students, and I've branched out, just like my parents hoped I would. Moving away from my support system was tough. I have had many days where I just lay in bed all day long because I just can't get up. But forcing myself to get out of my apartment and surround myself with people has made the transition to FSU easier. Being able to talk to people who have the same interests as me is refreshing. They all made me feel welcomed, and I know I can rely on them if I need to. Being a part of FSU made me finally realize how important it is to have a community in some place brand new. Without it, I never would have gone to lectures about climate change or seen student plays. I would still be stuck in my apartment by myself. Thank you for listening.
Hey everyone, my name's Priyanka, and I'm a second-year computational biology major going down the pre-med track. As you can probably tell by my major and professional track, I absolutely love science and I absolutely love people. A little fun fact, humans' ability to collaborate and connect with strangers who have a common interest is one of the main reasons why we're able to dominate the world and have such a strong connections with so many humans at once. I find this really beautiful because we don't have to know a person entirely in order to connect with them about a shared interest. Many communities at FSU have helped me with my transition to adult living and the university space, but one that I personally haven't thought too much about until recently is my research community. Before entering FSU, I knew that I wanted to pursue research in some form for my career. I used my passion for research to get connected with and ask questions to professors working in comp bio, learn about the different groups and opportunities available, and the different research seminars that go on throughout the semester. I ended up getting involved with the scientific computing department and met some of the coolest people with some of the most interesting stories, passions, and dreams at these research events, one of which is most notably the weekly tea time events that the department hosts, when there's tea and cookies and an opportunity to connect with others in the group, and afterwards a research seminar by an FSU or a visiting researcher is held. And these vary among different computing fields. And so, aside from learning so much about computation in biology, economics, environmental science, and more through these seminars, I was able to meet some of the best students and professors during tea time. One of the graduate students in the department is from Nepal, and he shared his experience with the group of moving from Nepal to Florida, why he chose to pursue a PhD in scientific computing, how his past experiences shaped who he is today, his favorite subjects in the field, his favorite things about FSU, his favorite types of coffees and teas, and even more. And this is the same with everyone you meet during these seminars. One of the best parts is when people share their research with you and you can just see how passionate they are about their work and the raw curiosity that drives what they do every single day. This is very understandable, but not everyone wants to talk about the structure of ribosome subunits on their Thursday afternoons. But the people in the research community do want to share these specific passions of theirs, and I've been able to express this nerdy part of myself with others who I can learn from and bond with as well. If there's anything I'd like to leave you all with from this story, is that you can find unique, meaningful connections with anyone, even in academia, with those who you assume you wouldn't have connections with, including your professors at office hours, graduate students at research seminars, and everyone else you meet in your academic sphere. I highly encourage everyone to get as involved with your academic field aside from taking classes. And that can include research, which is a great way of doing so. I mean, expanding your own interest and knowledge, creating community, and learning from so many different people every day sounds pretty nice to me. Good luck in college, everyone. You got this.
Okay, so we've shared our stories, but how do you find your community here at FSU?
Start small. Check out student organizations or events that match your interests, whether it's sports, arts, volunteering, or academics. There's something for everyone.
And don't forget, your classes and dorms are great places to meet people too. Be open, be curious, and take that first step.
We want to hear your stories. How did you, or how do you plan to, find your community at FSU?
Share them with us on Instagram at FindYourPlaceFSU. And while you're there, check out resources to help you connect, like the FSU Student Organization Directory and upcoming campus events.
Remember, you're not alone. FSU has a place for everyone, including you. Let's find it together.
Thanks for listening.
So finding your place.
Until next time.
Keep exploring, keep connecting, and keep growing.